Hi there, it's Riikka Kovasin here today with a video for ABstudio. This time I'm making an art journaling spread. As always, I'm also mixing quite a few collections in this make. You can see all the used supplies in the description box. What I did first was to pick some 12 by 12 sheets I thought to be using for this page and cut elements out of those. I also chose the background paper, which I then trimmed a little bit smaller so it fits inside my journal. I cut the background to 2 different pages and then combined the 2 using washi tape. And then I put a layer of clear gesso on top because at this stage I wasn't sure which mediums to use, so gesso layer helps without those colorants absorbing into the paper. After letting the gesso layer dry, I then started adding some acrylics on top. And even though acrylics kind of stay on top of the paper, they are not like watercolors, which absorb into the paper itself, but still the gesso layer allowed me to play with the colors on top. So I put some orange and some pink on top and then mix them on top of the paper to get this kind of a brine peachy tone. The palette I'm after is one of the floral designs of the papers I'm then going to layer on top. Inspired by the same paper, I also added some white splashes into the background. Then I dried the paint. After that, it's then stamping time. I'm using this newspaper kind of print stamp and add some texture here and there. On top, I then layer 2 pieces of pattern paper. First, a torn piece out of this green-based floral print and then a cut out big floral kind of motif on top. I'm using double-sided tape to adhere the layers. When I then have the background done, I cut the 2 pages loose from each other and mounted them on top of my journal. And from now on, I'm working inside my spiral-bound journal. First, I'm thinking about the composition. It's going to be based on these kind of drawer shapes I cut loose from 1 12 by 12, and I'm putting 1 on each side of the spread. The focal point is going to be this vintage lady, and she's going to be on the right hand side. And then I'm building another kind of cluster to the other side. For that, I'm using these letters that are also cut out from a 12 by 12 and putting them inside the drawer. I'm using double-sided tape to make the layers and use a stapler when I'm adding paper layers together, not mounting them to the journal, but when I want them to stay put. Also, before adding anything inside the journal, I inked around the edges of all the elements using this brown ink. I first put the bigger elements in place and then kind of embellished using smaller pieces. And then, if it's just the final touches, I added these label-like shapes to the page. I'm using some text die cuts to add a kind of story to the page. To finish the page, I then used the same brown ink, but with a different way this time. So I press the ink pad to my craft table and pick up the color using a wet brush. So it's kind of brown watercolor. And I'm adding it, kind of highlighting the shadows if that makes sense, but increasing that shadowy part and adding the vintage touch here and there. And after that, the page is done. Here's some detail shots and the picture of the ready spread. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the very quick process, and I'll be seeing you within a month with another ABstudio video, but in my own channel there's a new process video each Friday. Thanks again. Bye.